So, guys, I was thinking, like, what we were doing a week ago at this time, and we were all brainstorming and planning our trip. This was going to be a busy weekend for the show. We were going up to New York for the Guardians Roughnecks game. We all had credentials for the game. We were setting up a pre-game show. We were going to interact with the fans at their fan fest. Mm-hmm. Sunday, we were going to head down to D.C. for the Renegades Defenders game.
Yep.
And I don't even what the hell happened? Like
the sports world has crumbled.
How is everything just collapsed? Even when we recorded on Monday, we did our power rankings, and we did one was it yesterday, where things were starting to break, and we were talking about guys, we should probably
actually a lot of stuff broke on the show while we were literally in the middle of the show, and three things happened. Donald Trump was speaking to the nation, NBA game was canceled, and then the NBA season was canceled, all within like an hour. It was crazy.
Yeah. No, and Tom Hanks got it.
And Tom, like, four things.
Which is the most important, devastating thing of all. Is
Woody from Toy Story 6.
Yeah, and then after we wrapped up, like, I remember us being like, should we do a coronavirus segment? And Pastel was like, no. I think it was you, Pastel. You're like, no, guys. I mean, things are just changing so much that by the time we put this out, like, it's going to be outdated.
Sure.
And holy crap, you were right.
I mean, nothing new. Hot take.
Things have just spiraled out of control. And I think us as XFL, number one as XFL fans, and then XFL media, I think we kind of, you saw the writing on the wall. The second the NBA last night canceled, or not canceled, but postponed their season, I was like, uh-oh, this isn't good. And then it's what we talked about yesterday. It's the domino effect. As kind of hysteria around this grows, whether it's warranted or not, you knew that other leagues were going to be like, well, NBA did it, we should probably follow suit. Next thing you know, there's no freaking March Madness, which is just I can't even imagine.
It's the greatest tournament in sports is March Madness, and that got stolen from us.
And like, you think about all these seniors, right, or guys that are leaving for the draft or for whatever, and all of these jobs for all of these leagues, like hourly wage workers, like, man, this, not just for football purposes, but this is devastating in so many freaking ways. And I think we need to start out in terms of XFL talk is, you know, the XFL was pretty much the last league to make an announcement on anything, right, guys? Like, and people on Twitter, like, I was starting to be like, all right, let's go. Let's figure something out. But you have to think of it this way. You know, the NBA, while they're going to be losing a ton of money, NCAA tournament losing a ton of money, you know, they're such large entities already.
Yeah. They're established institutions.
It's a blip on the radar, right? Yeah. So, but for the XFL, there's so many factors to consider here. And I'm sure that's what took them so long, is like sitting in a room. And Kenny, I believe it was you, and this is all speculation, but we're like picturing Vince McMahon in there being like, guys, this is our opportunity to get as many eyeballs as we can. We're going to be the only sport, and Oliver Luck trying to talk him out of it.
I basically said Vince was sitting there, and he as a promoter, because Vince is a old promoter. That's what he grew up doing. He's sitting there looking, and he's like, we're the only game left in town. The press is just it's all going to be on us. And you know it had to kill him to postpone everything, and had to absolutely just eat his lunch.
Yeah, but how do you not, man? How do you not do what they did?
I mean, you have to. I mean, the pushback from the media, from, you know, most fans, I would assume, would have been pretty negative. If they had not followed suit of what everyone else did.
Yeah,
especially
if a player got sick. You know, a player gets sick and he's 1 of 52 and he shared the locker room and played and practiced. I mean, it's. Football is the worst out of all of them.
Spirals.
It just spirals just because it can just grow so much faster. Then NBA has 12 guys in a locker room opposed to 52.
And you look at the sports that are still going to be played this weekend or going on this weekend, it's auto racing and golf. which is isolated sports. It's not contact. They're not, going to be bumping into each other, and there's no fans that are going to be in the stands or walking the fairways or whatever. So it makes sense. I mean, basically every sport that has to do with like contact or if they're touching each other or whatever, like basketball, soccer, football, all that stuff is gone.
So, I mean, I think we all knew this was coming. It was only a matter of time. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the XFL statement that they put out just maybe an hour and a half ago. But basically, they said currently the XFL, and guys, pay attention to this verbiage because it's very important. Currently, the XFL will not be playing its regular season games. However, all players will be paid their base pay and benefits for the 2020 regular season, which is awesome. Kudos, good job, XFL. All XFL ticket holders will be issued refunds or credit towards future games. The XFL is committed to playing a full season in 2021 and future years. So maybe we go ahead and break this down into pieces. And I think the most important piece is that first sentence there. So I've been talking to players this afternoon, and it kind of goes right along with what this is saying. And it's saying regular season games. Now, if there is a glimmer of hope, XFL fans, I'm not trying to get your hopes up too high here, but the plan is that the regular season's done. So the 5 remaining weeks they're not playing them. But the league has said that they are going to reassess here in the next week or two, how the virus is spreading, basically just kind of get a pulse on what's going on, if the spread is accelerated or if it's starting to, decelerate. Like, they're going to see how the virus is spreading throughout the country. And then they're going to, if they can, play the playoff games. So
playoffs.
Yeah.
I love it.
And basically they're going to take, so this is going to upset some fans, some not so much. But they're going to take, if you look at the current standings right now, they're going to take the top 2 teams from each division, and they're going to play the Eastern Championship and the Western Championship, and those 2 will play in the XFL Championship. Now, we don't know if it's going to be in Houston still, or if they're going to bring everyone to Houston for all the games, if the home teams are going to, like it's originally going to be, if they're going to stick with that. We don't know those details. We just know that the XFL has not given up hope that they're going to at least have a playoff series here. So there is a little bit of hope, everybody out there on the chat. Unless you're a Guardians Vipers fan, or what is it, Kenny? A Wildcats and Dragons fan.
Dragons fan, yeah.
Yeah. You definitely, if you're not a DC, St. Louis, Houston, or Dallas fan, then your season's effectively over.
So what is that? That's Dallas versus, or no? So
Dallas versus Houston.
Dallas versus Houston, which would be a away game for DC, so that's not good for DC. Right?
What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
So like first round match.
No, it'd be an away game for Dallas. Dallas would play at Houston.
That's right. So, okay.
Yeah, the West. And then, so Dallas and Houston. Houston's the 1 seed, and then I think because of the tiebreaker, DC would host St. Louis, unless they brought everybody to Houston and played all 3 games there, which is not out of the cards either. But those are things that, a lot of things need to happen in order for these games to take place. And honestly, I'm not that optimistic about it, but it is definitely worth a glimmer of hope is out there. So
the biggest,
it's not
the
all
biggest
gloom and
thing,
doom.
Yeah, the biggest thing too is I guess if they do make it, like they're letting Gless. I know you found a tweet earlier on this. You can read it, but I know they're letting players, once they pass their exit physical, they're going to let them sign with teams in other leagues pretty much immediately. So like if they do that, like what if PJ Walker signs with another, like is it going to be Connor Cook who's going to be starting for Houston? Like wouldn't that be wild?
That's also a thing that sucks, and people are bringing that up in the chat. So it's a good point, Kenny. Like, guys like PJ Walker, Jordan Ta'amu, they're going to be free to sign with NFL teams. So even if there are playoffs, we may not see the quarterbacks that we've become accustomed to seeing, which for some teams wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, it would definitely suck. Like, I want to see PJ Walker, and I want to see Jordan Ta'amu in the playoffs. But, if it's Taylor Heineke and Connor Cook, that's not too bad. But
it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'd still watch, but it definitely would be a blow. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's football though, right? At least we get football and some just kind of normalcy, right? We haven't, we're going to go through a stage here for the next 3 or 4 weeks where life's going to be just a little bit abnormal. Really, no sports on.
Has it really hit you guys yet? Like, I feel like I'm kind of in shell shock right now. Like, I don't like. We were in such a rush today. Kenny didn't even bring his backdrop home with him. Like,
they literally kicked us. They literally kicked us out of our office and were like, "Hey, you guys got to go," and we just left. And I left some of my stuff there. I got to go back and sneak in to get it.
There's be guys in hazmat suits there.
I'm like, hey guys, hold on, I gotta grab
stuck in your office for weeks if you go back. You got to be careful.
See, it's nice for Kenny though, because he's gonna watch NASCAR this weekend, so it's gonna be no change for Kenny this weekend. People like me, Gus, and Riley, I'm starting to think about my weekend and like, what am I actually going to do? I mean, maybe spend more time with my girlfriend to start, but
I'm sure she's probably watching and is happy to hear that. Yeah. Maybe spend time with my kids. I don't know.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a girlfriend, but I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I probably should spend some more time with her.
Yeah, I mean, it's been all XFL for 6-7 months.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just this sucks on so many levels. Like the league, and we mentioned this in our recap of week number 5. I said on that show, I felt like the quality of football was the best that it, every week it was getting better. In week 5, I was like, man, they're really hitting their stride in terms of the quality of play. And then boom, this crap happens. I mean, how could you envision this? If you're Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon and everyone at the XFL, this is what ends your season early. Who would have saw something like this coming? It's just freaking crazy.
I do think the league will be okay, though. I mean, this is definitely not ideal, but I think there's a good enough reputation that was built up from the league. The fact that they're still paying players already gets that bad taste of what people left the AAF with. It's like, oh, they just pulled the funding straight from players. Like, no, they're going to stay legitimate.
That's a good point, Pat.
The way they've handled this process has all been very professional. They've acted like a professional league by following suit, and then they're still paying players. So I think all you hear from Instagram and Twitter, a lot of players are just saying, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity, which tells me they're going to tell other players, hey, if you haven't thought about the XFL, it's probably something you need to try. If you're looking for an opportunity in the NFL, if you don't want to play college ball anymore, XFL is a legit opportunity for you, and I enjoyed my time because that's the overall theme right now from players in the XFL.
Yeah, I mean you could see just all on Twitter today and everything. The players were genuinely sad and upset that they weren't going to be able to play anymore. So that's good. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it really sucks. It seemed like the league was just starting to hit its stride. We were starting to see how the second half of the season was going to shape up. We had the East was wide open. The West behind Houston was wide open, and we were really starting to get some really cool storylines developing. So from that standpoint, dude, it's freaking awful. But the good news is it's going to be back next year. It will be back. The XFL is going to be back. It's going to have an off season. We're going to get to see what an off season the XFL looks like now. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit expedited, but it's not the end of the world. It stinks. But at the same time, it's going to leave the fans wanting more. So I think next year the fans are going to come back just as hungry. I don't think overall it's really going to hurt the XFL that much in terms financially. And their TV deals in place for the next 2 years. The funding's in place for the next 2 years. It just stinks that we're going to have
it's just a bad taste, having to end it this way.
Yeah.
I really hope that this scenario can work out where they can at least crown a champion for this first season, because it's just going to be, very strange going into a second season where literally you got through 5 games and had to call it quits because of things out of your control. This is unprecedented. I don't, my 32 years of living, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this that swept the nation and literally brought the entire sports world to a halt.
I only remember one time. This feels, it feels different, obviously, but it feels also familiar. The only time I can remember sports just coming to a halt was 9/11.
9/11. Yep, I agree.
And that was, granted, that was a week, and then it was back, and you kind of knew there was
back up.
And you knew there was a deadline, hey, once we're going to resume play these days. Every league said that, but still, it's kind of that same weirdish feeling there's nothing going on and everything's just canceled.
And that's the crappiest part about this right now is it's unpredictable. How long will this last?
The uncertainty, honestly,
exactly. And we're going to see more cases. It's inevitable going to happen. in the United States where these cases begin to rise across the states and more people are going to have schools locked down. And this thing's going to happen. The question is for how long? When can we start containing it and get back to normalcy and start playing sports again? And that's what sucks about this is we don't know when. A lot of people are saying 30, 60 days, but we really don't know.
Dude, I'm going to say this. If I find that dude who ate that bat, I would probably beat him up pretty hard, man. What an idiot. Hey, imagine like any disclaimer to our fans out there, don't eat bats.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't believe you have to say that.
He's looking at the menu. He's like, okay, do I want bat soup? Do I want dog? I'm going to do a bat soup today. And that's how it all started.
You know what I was thinking when everything like fell apart? I immediately thought of Space Jam, where they like have to put on all the masks to go in the locker room and change for the games and stuff.
That's right.
Because they don't know what's going on with all the players.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
But even if they tried to play guys, like let's say that they did say, okay, no fans in the stadium, and we're going to try to play. One, all the logistics, like LA, they were like, you're not playing here, not in Dignity Health, in other places too. So even if they did play games, it only takes, and you saw this in the NBA, it takes one player to test positive, and then everything just falls apart anyways.
Yeah.
And I think it's inevitable that, someone, like, we're talking about the number of people diagnosed is pretty small at this point, but how many people actually have it that haven't been diagnosed? I mean, if you look in Italy, a couple weeks ago, there were, a couple hundred that had it, and now they're up to over 10,000. I mean, I think the most dangerous part of this virus is, one, they've never seen a virus like this before, and two, it's spreading so rapidly, so quickly as to compare to, viruses like the flu. I'm not going to try to get into, doctor talk here because I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think that's a big concern of people. Yeah. Didn't go to school for that.
Going back to just another kind of sports time in our lifetime where it felt like this, and we were all young kids when this happened, but the 94 strike, the Major League Baseball 94 strike, where they didn't crown a champion because players went on strike in August or September, and they canceled the playoffs. It really kind of, just in the sports world, just everything, that's just kind of what this feels like.
Yeah, except multiply that to every single sport.
To every single sport, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we going to do this weekend? Holy crap, man. Like,
hey, you guys, I'm good. I mean, as much as I'd love to see XFL play this weekend, and I'm sad it's not going to be there, but I do like auto racing, and IndyCar debuts this weekend, and NASCAR goes, so luckily I'm an auto racing fan, so I at least have something to watch.
I think Kenny's got a point, though. I think there's going to be a lot of NASCAR fans this weekend. Dude, people that haven't watched NASCAR in so long, there's going to be an uptick.
I agree. I may be one of them, Pastel. I may be one of them.
Yeah. Let's do a poll this weekend. Put some numbers in the hats.
I think that was the one. I think that was maybe the one thing that the XFL was holding on to was, hey guys, if we can somehow get through this and not get players infected and things totally fall apart, if we can somehow get through at least this weekend, think of how many eyeballs are going to be on our league. It's tempting, isn't it?
God. Hey, we got a very important question in the chat. Primetime Pranks wants to know if any of us are wearing pants, and so I guess we're all filming from home today.
Yeah, I don't. I'd rather you guys not answer. I don't want to know.
I'll shake my head no. And
I won't be able to look at you the same the rest of the show.
I would say who's Porky Pigging it in here?
I got shorts on. I got mesh shorts. Actually, I got my World Series national shirt shorts on.
Yeah, no, I got shorts. I ain't Porky Pigging it, not yet.
I got my
I'm working from home indefinitely now, so I may be Porky Pigging it over the next week, though.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, and then another thing was the craziness of the confusion that, I mean, you saw it on Twitter with players, and then there were reports, Mike Mitchell, the friend of the show from XFL Board and XFL News Hub, was reporting that coaches didn't even know what was going on. Like, because these meetings were like, there's so much, so many details to flush out. Nobody knew what was going on for the longest time. And like, you were seeing all these cryptid like tweets of GIFs and things like that. Like players just, not having any clue what's going on. And then from what I understand is, coaches, once they got all the information, got their teams together, and at least it's not like an AAF situation. Like if you guys remember the AAF, not only did players have problems getting paid, but getting freaking home.
Yeah, they got kicked out of their hotels.
Yeah, they were getting kicked out of their hotels, having to pay for their own flights. Like, what a dong show! Like, just
Such a debacle.
Yeah, it was a debacle. So at least the XFL like has their ducks in a row, which shows the legitimacy of this league.
Yeah.
That at least they're taking care of their players pay wise. They're going to get them home. It sounds like players, are probably going to stay put through the weekend. I guess maybe it depends on where you are in the country, and then fly home, and they're going to wait it out for a couple of weeks and wait to hear if they're going to be able to play these games, or if that's it for XFL 2020 and we're moving on to 2021. And I think it's important to point out too that all these guys are on 1-year deals. So we talked about, guys being able to jump to the NFL, which good job there too, XFL, allowing guys to, because as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is the NFL free agency still starting on time? I don't see why it wouldn't.
I believe so. I believe all that.
They announced it. Yeah, they announced today that the league year will start on time.
As normal? Okay.
Yep.
So go ahead.
But one caveat with that, though, fellas, is at least according to the current CBA, teams that have new head coaches get to start a week earlier. So in theory, teams like the Redskins, anybody who's got a new coach coming in, they were able to start a week or two early, and now they have to make a decision on whether they're going to allow people even in the building.
Well, I know that didn't the Bills, I believe, ban their scouts from like traveling and stuff like that. Like I think they've got to stay in the building or local to where they're headquartered out of.
Now, the CBA, that hasn't been approved yet, has it?
Well, the current CBA expires at the end of this season. So they still have another year, but in the current deal, that's how it works.
I think an important thing to keep in mind, though, is for players that don't sign, or maybe even guys that sign with an NFL squad and maybe get cut at some point during fall camps, whatever. People that want to rejoin the XFL, teams have rights to those players. So it's not like there's a player on Tampa who leaves after the season, maybe joins the NFL, is on the NFL on a squad for a little while, gets cut, wants to come back to the XFL. It's not like, the Seattle Dragons can pick him up. He's allocated still. His rights are still with Tampa Bay. So to keep consistency of the rosters, at least that's my understanding, is that's how it's going to work. What really freaking sucks, though, to me, football-wise, I mean, there's so many things that suck, but football-wise, like just the fact that, we may have seen P.J. Walker's last game in the XFL. Jordan Ta'amu, Cam Phillips, like all these guys that are excelling are probably going to be on active NFL rosters next year.
They're going to get multi-year contracts. Some of these, P.J. Walker will start next year with a multi-year contract. Whether it's 2 years, $5 million.
That sucks. Like, I'm happy for him. That's awesome for him.
It doesn't suck, man.
Us XFL fans, we were stolen. I mean, it's good for the league in terms of it shows that it works.
It's great.
I'm just talking about that we were robbed of like
Kenny Robinson.
Kenny Robinson will be in the league. Yeah, Kenny Robinson's gone. Like, I'm not saying, I think overall, if you look at it from a bigger picture, it's a good thing.
Yeah, holistically looking at it.
But like, if you're thinking just like, man, we were robbed 5 games, potentially playoff games with some of these guys, like that, it's just such a bad taste that it leaves in your mouth.
Yeah.
But no, you're right, Pastel. It's definitely a good sign. If PJ Walker leaves and signs a multi-year deal with an NFL team and is, the backup somewhere or third string or whatever, if he's on an active game day roster, I mean, that's good for the XFL.
I mean, it's the ultimate gamble. It's the ultimate gamble on yourself. So you're going to see other practice squad players that want to follow a path like PJ Walker, go do that next year, and then hopefully they can get actually signed to a multi-year contract instead of just being a practice squad player or a futures contract. And Kenny Robinson is just setting the path right now for college football players.
Yeah.
If he gets drafted high, if he gets drafted by a day 2 pick, top 3 round pick, and you are thinking about transferring next year, and you don't want to have to sit out a year, why would you sit out a year when you can go play for the XFL, build your stock, get paid, and then you go join the NFL the following year? I mean, I think they're laying the groundwork for something that could be very successful in the future.
You can't understate the importance of that, Pastel, of what Kenny Robinson did this year.
Yep.
The fact that he took a chance on the league, and the fact that he played at such a high level, and it only helped his draft stock. Only helped it. So, depending on where he goes, and just – go ahead, Kenny.
I wonder if they're going to give out. I wonder if they're going to give out awards because we did our midseason figures. We did our midseason award show last night.
We should have known that was an omen when
could...
everyone got booted off mid-show from connection issues. We should have known that there was something bad coming.
Yep.
We did our midseason awards. I guess we could rename it final awards now. But I wonder if they're going to actually hand out like awards and stuff. I wonder if they're going to hand out like awards now, like we're going to name PJ. I wonder if that's going to happen, or if they're just going to. I wonder if they're going to. I'm curious as to how they're going to how this is going to look in league history. Like, is it just going to be like a random 5-game history kind of thing, and no awards, no playoffs, no champion? Like, it's going to be bizarre. It's just bizarre.
All I know is next year is going to be a record-breaking year. There's going to be some.
That's right.
Shattered records for pass yards, touchdowns.
Yeah.
You guys, you know who I feel really bad for? Like really bad for about this news? St. Louis, the city of St. Louis and Battlehawk fans. They were so pumped to finally have a professional football franchise back in their town. They showed up. It was an electric atmosphere and, all intensive purposes, had the best home field advantage, and that town was so jazzed up about the Battlehawks, and then this happens. My heart goes out to Battlehawks fans. I mean, it sucks.
Bless. We could literally do a list of 100 things, 100 reasons why this sucks. I mean, think about. We've been working on this show for
us
since
too.
June, July.
That's right.
And how much work we've put into this, and then for a freaking virus to end it like this, and it go past us. Think about the work that all the staff at the XFL. I feel so bad for them. Like all of the blood, sweat, and tears, like the scouting, operations, communications, marketing, hiring staffs. Like so much freaking work went into, building a football league, and a freaking good one at that. And then it's just robbed for your inaugural season. You want to get through it. You want to have success, and then it's just robbed from you. In a way like this, it's just like, really? Like if we failed in, like the AAF, if we failed miserably and had to call it a day, whatever, it sucks, but it's on us, because we failed.
Wow.
This is something that's out of their freaking control, and it's impacting sports in general, but it just impacts them harder because this is literally their first go at it as a league. Kenny?
Yeah, and people were saying in the chat that
Good.
Oh, people in the chat were saying that St. Louis was expecting 50,000 people for their March 21st game.
They were opening the sections that they hadn't had open before.
Yep. That fan base is ridiculous, man.
That would have been cool to see, dude. That would have been sick. Oh, and another question in the chat is Let's Do It wants to know who our favorite players are. Like, who's our favorite player for each of us? Does anybody want to start that? I'll start
overall
it.
in the league. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I'll start it. My favorite player. My favorite team's Houston, so I'd say my favorite player is probably Nick Holley. That's my guy. That's my boy.
Okay, he's a good.
Really,
he's a
not
good
Nikita
pick.
Whitlock, huh? I thought you were.
No, I mean, look, I love
Nikita.
I love Nikita, and I love all the Wake Forest guys. Don't get me wrong; like I cheer for him, but Houston's my team, man. So I got to go with the guy I like the most, and that's Nick Holley, who I think will be back in the XFL. By the way, like I like him, and I think he could be okay, but I don't think he's quite an NFL prospect. I think he's a perfect player for the XFL.
I agree; he'll be back. I think my top player, my favorite player, probably Josh Johnson. Just kind of seeing his interaction with Norm Chow the other day, I was like, this guy's cool. Like, this guy kind of keeps it real for us. Not to mention the guy's just a baller as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for me to name just one. I mean, I get a 1A and 1B. I really loved watching Jordan Teamu play. I thought he was a lot of fun to play. I really liked him a lot. And then I'd probably have to put Steven Johnson up there too. He was. Yeah, just watching him in the box and how much he was just wrecking the games from start to finish on defense.
Oh God, it's falling apart.
We lost.
Oh my God, I think he's back, but it may echo. Let's try it. Are you?
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Well, damn it, Glessner.
That's our sign.
No, I think you guys know. I think you guys know who mine is. Hokies. Hokies.
Cam Phillips.
Cam Phillips,
Phillips.
baby.
Yeah.
He's a baller, man. That guy, man, he's getting picked up. He's signing with the team.
Yeah, he won't be in the XFL next year. But there were so many good wide receivers. Dan Williams was another guy who I really enjoyed watching.
You guys seen comments?
What's
There
It's
is
like
Victor.
Corona got glass.
Guy that I liked watching.
We're
Plus, we got the coronavirus.
I know. I see it.
No, dude, it's bad omens, man. We haven't had any issues with our live videos until these last two. Like, everything that has something to do with sports is just falling apart. It's crumbling beneath us.
Dude,
All right, we
the
will
comment
rise
section
up again.
is wilding out right now about glass. That's cracking me up.
Like, I had to hold it down for 20 freaking minutes last night by myself because we're in the middle of a highlight. I threw it to Gless and it was dead silent. I look over and it's all those little stupid question marks. I'm like, oh boy.
It's taking
And
over
the funny
internet,
thing
too.
is, but you know, pull the curtains back. The funny thing is, those three were able somehow to keep talking with each other, and they thought they were live, so they kept talking with each other
So
while
we were
I was
talking.
by myself.
we
Live.
literally went through about 3 or 4 minutes of the show as because we thought you were
we
gone,
can't
so-
hear Kenny.
Oh, great.
But then another
This is
thing,
just
to finish my point on why this sucks is, obviously the players. When I was talking to players this afternoon, that game film, man, that's half the season they're losing of game film to be able to provide for NFL teams. So they're losing out on that. And then just the hourly wage workers for these stadiums. It would have been a big blow for them even if they had played in the stadiums with no fans. But, just thinking about those people, and we've had some people in the chats, Kenny, I know you were just chatting with someone, it goes beyond sports, like how much this is going to impact our society. And, people are losing their jobs over this stupid ass virus. It's crazy to think, I've never seen anything with this much impact, something that you like can't visibly see. Like it's just out there in the ether and it's just destroying everything in its path. And the sports world is obviously what we're going to focus on, but it's just like crazy. Like everybody's on lockdown. Bless you haven't been able to leave your building, like at your job.
I'm
for weeks
officially
now.
I think we're just now getting to that climax part of this coronavirus. Like we haven't quite got there. I think we're going to see the worst probably in the next few weeks. And it's going to hit its peak and then it's going to slowly go back down. I think we're going to return to normalcy probably sometime in the midsummer. But we've done things like this in the past. There's been other, like the swine flu. I mean, there's been other epidemics that have happened. It's just maybe not to I mean, I would argue that it has been like this. It's just that with social media and just it's a follow me league these days. So like when one league breaks down, the other leagues follow. Not necessarily if you didn't have Facebook back in the day, I don't think this happens as much. But like with the social media outlook, everyone's just going to get knocked if they don't like shut down. So it is unprecedented, but I think everyone's going to be okay. We're going to remember this is going to be a 30 for 30 one day.
Yeah.
The disease that we're going to kill sports, but it's going to be okay, guys. And the XFL will return. XFL is going to be bigger and better next year.
Yeah.
I think if the XFL can overcome something like this, that is a great sign for the XFL.
Feather in their cap.
A feather in their cap. And I mean, I think, from an organizational standpoint, they've been put together really well. They have great people in place led by Oliver Luck, king of the beer snake, Oliver Luck. So, at least they have the funding through Vince McMahon. I think, this is obviously a big hit, whether they were playing in front of no fans or not playing at all. But like, when they announced the other day that they were going to start playing in front of no fans in certain places, like that obviously is a big blow because, I mean, if a lot of people that are watching that maybe newer XFL fans don't know that all these TV deals that they have with ABC, Fox, ESPN, they're not getting any TV rights, any money for them broadcasting these games. It's basically an exposure deal. Like we're going to give you these huge platforms and we're going to see how you perform over this amount of time, this couple year period, and then we will reassess. I mean, that's where all these leagues like the NBA, the NFL, they make all their money off TV rights. That's where you see these salary caps, skyrocket, thus being able to pay players more, which is, I think, what the XFL's ultimate goal is. So you look, Vince McMahon solely funding this thing for 2 years.
Yep.
At the end of these 2 years, you reassess. If we're in a place where you can, let's say to ABC, Fox, we have this product, it's successful, which it was up until this point. I mean, I know that ratings declined in the last weekend, but
they were still top of the weekend.
They were still right up there with everything else going on. When you look at their competition, and I know they were going to take a hit probably with March Madness and everything going on, but if they maintained right up at the top 3 of sporting events for the entire weekend, that's something that you can sell. So once you get to that end of the deal, then that's where the money comes in, thus funding the rest of the league. So, I mean, it's a solid business plan if you put together a good product, and that's what Oliver Luck did. So I think there's a lot to be optimistic about still, XFL fans. I don't think this is a situation where we're like, the XFL, the season ends and come, August, we're going to get news stories that, they've declared bankruptcy and things are over. Like, it's not going to fall apart like that. It just really sucks that, this is your first opportunity to put your product that you've worked so freaking hard for 2 damn years out in front of the public, and it's taken away from you and out of your control. So I think that's the biggest thing that really sucks in this whole situation.
Yeah, I agree, man. And before we wrap up, because we're kind of winding down now, I just wanted to I want everybody to know in the chat and who's watching this video, just because the season's over doesn't mean we're done. So we've got lots of cool things coming down the road right now. We had some cool stuff planned for the off season. It's going to be a little bit more expedited now.
Yeah.
But we've got some great stuff for you guys. We're not bailing on the XFL or we're not going to cover stuff just because it's the off season. So you're going to continue to get shows from us and great content that you've come to expect from us. So I just want to make sure that we address that before we log off today.
No, definitely, Kenny. Yeah, I mean, I think, kind of like everyone else, we're just going to take a step back here and see what the hell's going on with this virus over the next couple of weeks and kind of reassess moving forward. I mean, I am keeping my fingers crossed, XFL fans, that we're going to see some playoffs and a championship game.
That would be awesome.
Please, at least let us end this season on a high note, even if we're robbed of half of the regular season. It would be great to, cap it off with an actual championship game. Because I think that, the AAF ending the way it did, not having any type of real champion, I think that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And even though it's a completely different situation, I don't want the XFL to have that same effect and give the haters, I guess, any more ammo, if you will.
I don't think it will. I really don't think it will, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this league it's been legitimized at this point. It's just it's a suck across all sports. Every sport is in the same boat at this point. XFL will be just fine, and they're going to pick it up stronger and better next year if they don't have playoffs this year.
I will say it makes our jobs a little tougher. Like I said, we're going to reevaluate what's going on and go from there. But man, I'm so glad I don't work in programming at ESPN. Oh my God, that would suck.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's not a fun job to have right now.
It's just going to be SportsCenter on repeat 24/7 all day, every day.
Yeah, and all they're going to do is talk about the coronavirus, which is going to get old in about 24 hours.
I'm sick of it already, man. It's ruining everything.
NASCAR.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Tune into NASCAR this weekend. We'll be here. What should we call ourselves? NASCAR News Hub? NASCAR
if you're on our, it's funny, NASCAR News Hub is actually a real thing, Riley. That's a real show.
Is it really?
Yeah. If you guys are on our Discord, look, I mean, we have an off-topic channel where a couple of us are racing fans on there. So if you guys are racing fans and you're on our Discord, or you're not on our Discord yet and you're a racing fan, tune in, man. I mean, join up and I'll be on there this weekend chatting about it. So
Kenny loves him some NASCAR,
some track talk,
and IndyCar. I like all forms.
Track talk. There you go.
There we go. Track talk.
Track talk with
racing, baby. Robin's racing. That's the only analysis I can give. I will say NASCAR tailgates are probably the best tailgates I've ever been to in my life.
Amazing.
Martinsville,
amazing.
Holy crap.
It's
Martinsville is unbelievable. I don't think we should probably talk about that live. The
things
that transpired at Martinsville.
Not at all.
But it was a lot of fun, I'll say that. But yeah, stay with us, guys. This is by no means the end.
Yep.
We'll take maybe a week off, try to figure out what the hell's going on here. And we'll come back with, content for you guys throughout the off season, and stay with us here at XFL Chalk Talk on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Spread the word, everybody. I mean, it's going to take, fans like you all watching to help keep the excitement up around the league, especially with these circumstances taking place. It's fans like you that are watching right now that are going to keep this league going, going to keep us as a show going. So just because things are ending in a crappy way potentially, don't give up on the league. The league is set up to succeed. So we need to spread the word going forward. XFL's here to stay. XFL Chalk Talk's here to stay. And thank you all so much for following along with us through this journey. I hope that this is not the end of the 2020 season. I hope we have more games to cover, more players to talk about, things to break down. But if not, we'll go into off-season mode and we'll go from there. But we'll reevaluate and stay with us at XFL Chalk Talk and XFLChalkTalk.com for all of the latest news. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the chat tonight. You all have been fantastic on these live shows. Have been so much fun, guys. I love
so
doing
fun.
Them. Even when all three of you get booted and I got to go solo, it's still a lot of fun. So thank you, everybody. I said this last night, but wash your damn hands. Just wash your hands. And everyone stay safe, stay well, and we'll check in with you guys here in a little bit. For Pastel, Glessner, Kenny, I'm Riley. Thanks for everybody for watching, and we will see you next time, because there will be a next time. XFL lives on. XFL Chalk Talk lives on. Thanks for watching, everybody.